kitchen is hot. Oops. Okay. Hi everyone, and welcome to today's live. My name is Akira, and I'm a dietitian that helps women to heal from chronic vaginal infections. So if you're into that, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and that you're also subscribed to my email list where I give vaginal education every 3 days. I also help women to heal from chronic health conditions in general, not just recurring vaginal infections, but that is my main focus. So if you are dealing with recurring BV, yeast infections, UTIs, which is urinary, or mycoplasma, ureaplasma, or anything like that, then this is definitely the channel for you, because as a dietitian, I'm teaching you how to heal with nutrition and lifestyle changes and without medications. I healed myself twice from chronic vaginal infections. Both times it lasted 2 years. I healed from yeast infections, bacterial vaginosis, mycoplasma, and ureaplasma. Both times I healed naturally, no medications. And so this is what I teach on my YouTube channel and also in my email list. There are ways to work with me down below in my Vag Reset program, or also in my monthly membership, the Microbiome Makeover, which is basically a membership I have. It's $50 a month, and you're able to basically have access to me once a day through daily live classes where I teach you guys different topics on how to heal your vaginal microbiome, and also how to basically meal plan, how to create a protocol for yourself in order to heal. I give some education on that platform every single day. I also come to the community group so you can communicate with other people in there as well. So I have that, and I also have my 30-day Vag Reset ebook that has a 30-day protocol that I followed to help me heal my chronic vaginal infections. This protocol can help with majority of chronic vaginal infections because it focuses on consuming things that benefits all of them to help with decreasing that bad microbial overload that you're dealing with when you're dealing with chronic vaginal infections. So I have my ebook, I have my email list, I have my YouTube channel, I have the Vag Reset program, and also have the Microbiome Makeover membership. So we have many different things that can help you with healing your vaginal microbiome. This video particularly is going to be on how your vaginal microbiome not only impacts you getting recurring vaginal infections, it also impacts your fertility. It also impacts your risk of getting STDs and STIs. So I think that's really important for women to know, because most people think of having good vaginal bacteria of it just being associated with bacterial vaginosis, yeast infections, aerobic vaginitis, cytolytic vaginosis, those things, but they play a role in these things as well. So your vaginal microbiome can actually determine whether you contract an STD or an STI. And if you see me looking at my notes on my computer here, but it also impacts your fertility rates, your risk of premature birth, and also even your risk of miscarriage. So as of recently, I've been doing a lot more research into the vaginal microbiome by listening to podcasts from other professionals in this field, and also watching classes on these topics in my spare time on the Gut-Vagina Axis, so I can bring you guys more information. And I always knew that the vaginal microbiome determined these things, but I didn't know to the extent in which they did. And I also didn't know the science behind it. So one of the podcasts that I've been listening to is called the G-Chat podcast. It's by a biomedical engineer who focuses on vaginal health. Her name is Gianna. She is the owner of the company Meraki Co. that sells vaginal health products. And so she does a lot of her own vaginal research, and she creates products from that. And so I get a lot of information from her, and I follow her on TikTok as well. But when your vagina is dominated by good bacteria, specifically Lactobacillus, you have a really good biological shield. So Lactobacillus are good bacteria that our vaginas have and that we need in order for it to thrive and to basically maintain its natural pH acidity, which is between 3.8 and 4.5. So when we have these good bacteria in our vagina, it's basically like a shield for fighting off any opportunistic bacteria from overgrowing. So opportunistic bacteria are typically bacteria that we have in our gut and in our microbiomes naturally, but when they have the opportunity to overgrow and to thrive, they will. So having a lot of good bacteria helps with preventing those bacteria to overgrow, and it also fights off foreign invaders and also bad bacteria that shouldn't be in the vagina at all, such as STDs, STIs, and things like that. So these good bacteria, lactobacilli, they produce something called biosurfactants, which prevent bad bacteria from sticking to your vaginal walls. They also they also produce their own natural form of an antibiotic called Bacteriocins, which basically they're like natural antibiotics that these good bacteria produce in your vaginal microbiome that specifically target and kill foreign invaders like HPV, HIV, chlamydia, gonorrhea, those STDs and STIs. So the good bacteria helps with protecting you against those types of conditions, because when you contract an STD or an STI, it's because you did not have enough good bacteria in your vaginal microbiome to fight it off. If you did, then you would have a higher chance of not contracting it at all, even through exposure. So that's why it's really important to know that your vaginal microbiome can literally protect you from STDs, STIs, and those kinds of things. So like I said, if you have high levels of these healthy bacteria and you're exposed to an STI, you have a much higher chance of fighting it off than someone who has low levels of that good bacteria. So when you have low levels of good bacteria and you have high levels of opportunistic bad bacteria, they basically give those invaders a wide open door to come in and to invade your vaginal microbiome, causing these infections. So you also have to be thinking about biofilms. If you are dealing with recurring vaginal infections and you're taking medications that are not working, it's either one of three things: a biofilm, antibiotic resistance, or misdiagnosis. So biofilms are basically these protective slimy shields that coat the bacteria and the fungi in order to protect it so that it does not die off from medications or other antimicrobials. So it allows for these bad bacteria, fungi to stay in your vaginal microbiome, to live a really good life and to keep multiplying and growing, because they like to do that when they have the opportunity to. And so biofilms protect them. You also have antibiotic resistance, which can come from overusing antibiotics or misusing them, in the sense where you were diagnosed to use them, well, not diagnosed, prescribed to use them, but you didn't need them. It can also be from a variety of other different things as well. And you also have misdiagnosis. So a lot of women are getting treated for BV when in reality they have mycoplasma, they have ureaplasma, they have aerobic vaginitis. So there's also misdiagnosing is really, really common. If you feel like your GYN is not diagnosing you correctly, or you feel like there's a deeper problem, I do recommend getting a test with Evie, which is an at-home vaginal microbiome testing company. They test for over 700 microbes that a normal GYN does not test for. So when I was dealing with my chronic vaginal infection for the second time, I used Evie to get to the root cause, and it told me that I had high amounts of Gardnerella, which is a BV-causing bacteria, Prevotella, which is another BV-causing bacteria, and these two bacteria are a part of the normal vaginal microbiome, but they're supposed to be at low amounts. When they're at higher amounts, then they can cause things like BV. And BV, we all know BV as a condition in which you're dealing with vaginal odor, fishy odor, weird thin discharge, and itchiness. But BV can actually increase your risk for infertility and also miscarriages, because of the fact that it has higher amounts of bad bacteria versus the good bacteria. And I say bad and good just for the video, but technically these bacteria are not bad. They're normal in a healthy vaginal flora, but when they're opportunistic, as in like when they have the opportunity to overgrow and thrive, they will, and then that's what causes the symptoms. Same thing with mycoplasma and ureaplasma as well. So with the, and also I think I mentioned I have a link in my down below for $20 off for your first order with Evie. So if you do want to get a test with them, you can use my link to get $20 off of that order. They also do tests for urinary tract infections as well, and other bacteria, uropathogenic bacteria as well. So with biofilms, this is why you may feel better for a week after medications, and then the infection comes right back. So you have to break that biofilm to truly heal. I have a full script storefront in which you can get 30% off of all your supplements for the first order, and after the first order and all your following orders, you get 20% off with my discount code. So on FullScript, I do have the biofilm buster that I use. I have not been able to find it anywhere else on the internet. For some reason, it's only on FullScript. So if you want to use my biofilm buster, that's on my FullScript storefront, linked down below at my link tree. But always speak with the provider before taking any supplement, because they should be taken a specific way. If you need my help with that, you can join the Vag Reset program, which is my one-to-one program for helping you heal from chronic vaginal infections. Or if you join the monthly Microbiome Makeover membership, I can help you with a healing protocol in there as well. but biofilm busters are typically enzymes that help to break the biofilm. The two specific enzymes are nattokinase and serrapeptase. Those help to break down those biofilms that can then help for antimicrobials to come in and penetrate and basically kill off the excess bad bacteria that overgrew, essentially. So that's how you get rid of biofilms if you do have a biofilm. When it comes to antibiotic resistance, EVI also tests for antibiotic resistance as well. So you can use EVI for that, or you can also use what's called the GI map test, which is basically an at-home stool test that tests for your whole entire gut profile. So it tests you for your bacteria, any viruses, any fungi, any parasites, how your immune system is working, inflammation in your body and in your gut. Tests you also for leaky gut as well. So I offer the GI map test in the Vaginosis Advanced program. And the GI map test can help you not just with discovering what's wrong with your vaginal microbiome, but also if you deal with chronic skin conditions, if you have a lot of food allergies or sensitivities, if you deal with autoimmune diseases, if you deal with gut health issues, if you deal with mental health issues. The GI map test can get to the root cause of literally all of that, including like constipation, things like that as well. So those are options there. When it comes to fertility and pregnancy, your vaginal microbiome can impact your fertility outcomes and also pregnancy. So you can look at your microbiome as the soil for your fertility, and high levels of bad bacteria are associated with poor implantation rates and decreased success if you're doing IVF treatments. So if the environment is not right, the embryo cannot thrive. And even more seriously, when you're dealing with bacterial vaginosis, there's studies that show that BV doubles your risk of a miscarriage in the first trimester because of the high amounts of that opportunistic bad bacteria you have in your vaginal microbiome. So it's a leading factor in premature births and pregnancy complications. So what's also good to know is that BV is not always symptomatic. Sometimes it's asymptomatic. So if you know that you're trying to get pregnant, it'll be good for you to check for bacterial vaginosis beforehand, even if you feel like you're asymptomatic, just in case. If you're dealing with infertility and things like that, checking for BV can be really helpful to see if maybe your microbiome is the gatekeeping factor in you being pregnant. And of course, as a dietitian, I do need to explain the fact that there is a hormone and diet connection. So basically, what we eat impacts our vaginal microbiome because our gut and our vagina are connected through what's called the Gut-Vagina Axis. I have a whole entire other video on this as well, but what we eat directly impacts our gut microbiome, which then influences our vaginal microbiome. So if we're eating a diet that's full of ultra processed foods, and it's lacking fiber, it's lacking prebiotics, it's lacking probiotics, it's lacking diversity from different plants, then we're going to have a lower amount of good bacteria, which can lead to can lead to less immunity in the gut, which leads to less immunity in the vagina to actually fight off these infections. So how do we keep the good bacteria in your gut alive in order to help with populating your vaginal microbiome with more good bacteria? Fiber, prebiotics, probiotics. I'm missing one more thing. Fiber, prebiotics, probiotics, and going to the bathroom every single day, which helps with fiber. So prebiotics are good bacteria that feed probiotics. Probiotics are good bacteria that we need in our gut to thrive and to flourish in order for better mental health, better skin health, better everything health, honestly. And the more good bacteria we have in our vagina, the higher chances we have of fighting off any recurring vaginal infections, including STDs and STIs. And so we need probiotics to have a healthy microbiome overall. And so having probiotics with prebiotics helps with making the probiotics basically grow and thrive. So probiotics can come from fermented foods or any probiotic-rich foods. You also have probiotic supplements. I typically recommend 2 probiotic supplements that I have on my full script storefront. That's the Garden of Life Vaginal Probiotic, and it's also the Gero Formulas or Gerodophilus Vaginal Probiotic. I think those 2 are the best in my opinion. The Gero Formulas one has a specific bacterial strain called L. crispatus, which is a form of Lactobacillus that plays a really powerful role in fighting off vaginal infections and basically strengthening your vaginal immunity. So I really like the Gero Formulas 6 clinical strain vaginal probiotic, and also the Garden of Life Vaginal Probiotic. Both of those, again, are on my full script storefront. You can get 20% off or 30% off for your first order. I also like seeds intravaginal probiotics, so that's one that goes up inside your vagina, and that one has 3 different strains of L. crispus, which helps to basically strengthen your vaginal immunity to fight off any foreign invaders, or basically to keep the opportunistic bacteria in check so that they don't overgrow and cause you to get recurring vaginal infections. So with probiotics, having a lot in your diet is great, but we also don't want to have too much, because too much good bacteria can then lead to things like SIBO. It can lead to what's called cytolytic vaginosis, which is when you have too much good bacteria, and it can cause yeast infection symptoms. And so with the good bacteria, we need them in our gut and our vagina to thrive, but these good bacteria need food in order to do so. And so their primary food source is glycogen. And glycogen, your body produces this based on your estrogen level. So estrogen helps you to produce more glycogen, which then feeds the good bacteria, which is the lactobacilli. If you are low in estrogen, you'll have low glycogen, and then you'll have low amounts of that good bacteria, the lactobacillus. This is why when your hormones shift during your cycle, pregnancy or menopause, your vaginal health can shift as well. And if your estrogen is off, your bacteria, the good bacteria, might be starving, and then that can cause recurring vaginal infections. If you have estrogen dominance, you can be producing too much glycogen, which then gives the vaginal microbiome a more sugary environment, which then allows for yeast and BV and those conditions to thrive and overgrow. Estrogen dominance can come from constipation, so I have a full YouTube video on how to heal constipation from the root, because estrogen is excreted through our waste, and if we're not going to the bathroom every single day, estrogen can basically be recirculating back into our body, and it can be causing recurring vaginal infections. So if you're not going to the bathroom at least once or twice a day, then it's considered constipation, so I check that video out in my gut health playlist. But what you eat really matters. If you're having a high sugar diet, you can be feeding these opportunistic bacteria and fungi to overgrow. And in order to win this battle with recurring vaginal infections, you need to basically starve the bad guys and feed the good guys with fiber, prebiotics, probiotics, which come from fermented foods, or probiotic supplements to support a healthy gut-vagina axis. You also want all of your meals to have fibrous carbs, protein, and healthy fats. I have several videos in my vaginal health education playlist teaching you how to eat for vaginal infections. I also have a free how to eat for vaginal health guide in my link tree link down below. I also have you teach you how to eat for vaginal health in my 30-day Vag Reset ebook, and also in the monthly Microbiome Makeover membership. Every Monday we have a healing kitchen class in which we go over how to eat for vaginal infections, how to meal plan and meal prep for it, and basically coming up with your weekly meal planning routine in order for you to eat to help with supporting your vaginal microbiome. So that's important to know when it comes to the vaginal microbiome. So when it comes to healing chronic vaginal infections, it's way more than just avoiding an itch or an odor. It's really about protecting your future, your fertility, and your safety. So I hope this video gives you guys a breakdown of how your vaginal microbiome not only determines whether you get vaginal infections or not, but also determines your fertility rates. It determines your pregnancy outcome. It also determines those other things that I mentioned in this video. So if this seems like it's up your alley, definitely check out ways to work with me down below, or to learn from me more, whether that's in my Microbiome Makeover membership or in a 30-day Vag Reset. Either way, I'm no longer answering DMs for free anymore because it's too overwhelming. So if you want to ever ask me questions, it needs to either be on my live videos or it needs to be in the Microbiome Makeover membership. And so you have lots of ways to learn from me in order to help you heal your vaginal microbiome, whether that's through free or through paid resources. But this is pretty much it for the next video. So I hope, or I intend, that you took a lot from this video and that you can actually incorporate it into your daily routine to help you heal your vaginal microbiome. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.